Mum, what are we going to be cooking today?
We are going to be cooking a healthy version of fried chicken. But before we cook, what do we need to do?
We need to wash our hands. If we have long hair, tie it back and we need to put our aprons on.
Great, so we'll go and do that.
Okay.
Right, so we're going to do a healthy version of fried chicken. Now, lots of people like to go to the takeaway shop and buy fried chicken. So we're going to show you how to make a quick, easy, delicious version right in your own kitchen. What are we going to need?
We're going to need chicken.
So we have chosen thigh fillets. Chicken thighs are much cheaper, and if you can, then you can stretch maybe and afford a free-range chicken thigh. So we're using thighs. What else do we need?
We also need eggs.
Yeah.
Breadcrumbs.
Got our breadcrumbs.
And some spices from the breadcrumb coating.
Great, okay. So we have used some old sort of bread that was going a bit hard and stale in the bread bin, whizzed it up and made our own breadcrumbs. If you haven't got a blender, you can use a grater.
Yeah.
Okay, so Lex, can you start chopping up the chicken?
Mm-hmm.
Now just make sure you keep your fingertips right out of the way. So do a claw and keep your fingertips nice and clean. So we want nice big chunks, yeah, that we're going to cover with our coating and fry up. So you might find some fat on your chicken. So the fat is this white stuff, and that's the saturated fat that we want to try and reduce in our diet. So using a sharp knife, just gently slice the visible fat off for an even healthier version. Right, now, next Lex, we need to make our egg and breadcrumb coating. So we'll crack an egg into there.
And always try to keep your workspace clean by putting the eggshell either in a bin or in a bowl near to you.
Brilliant. Now we need to whisk up the egg with a fork. You may need 2 eggs if you've got a lot of chicken, but we'll start with 1, and if we need another one we can add it. Fantastic. Next we need to choose what flavour or spices we want to have in our breadcrumbs. So we've got some smoked paprika here, some cumin and some pepper. We're not adding salt, so it's extra healthy. You may find that the takeaways add an awful lot of salt to the fried chicken, so we're going to keep away from the salt today, aren't we, Lex?
Yes.
Right, so should we grind some pepper into the into the breadcrumbs? Yes. What other spices and flavours are we going to add, Lex?
Well, you were talking about smoked paprika earlier, and the reason we have this in the meal is because I found it in the spices drawer earlier, and I think it looked rather nice with a meal.
And what does it smell like?
Smells very nice.
Very nice, okay.
Smoky.
Smoky. So you should add a little teaspoon of that into the breadcrumbs. That's it. And then we can give that a mix up.
And always try to spread spices around, otherwise it will probably be very strong in the middle, but not around the out.
Good advice. That is good advice. Okay, so we're ready to go. So now we're going to get our chicken and we're going to add it into the egg. That's fine. Add that chicken into the egg and then roll it in breadcrumbs. Get it nice and covered in breadcrumbs. Okay?
Okay. So put the chicken in the egg and then put it in the breadcrumbs. Make sure you soak the whole chicken in the egg, otherwise it won't properly cover.
Yeah, so the egg makes a nice sticky surface for the breadcrumbs to stick to.
And don't afraid to get your hands dirty with this job.
And more good advice from Chef Lex. Meanwhile, we are going to heat some oil in our frying pan. So, we're going to measure the oil into our frying pan. We're going to put 2 teaspoons in. And we're using a non-stick pan, so that should be plenty. When your oil is nice and hot, then you can take your chicken and add it to the pan. You can hear that nice sizzling sound. Okay, so we just used regular vegetable oil. And you're going to cook these for about 5 to 6 minutes on each side, but just make sure they don't burn. So keep an eye on them, keep them moving. Lex, there's some breadcrumbs left and a little bit of egg. Have you got any ideas what we could do with it?
I mean, maybe we could add the breadcrumbs with the egg, but without chicken, and just fry it in this extra pan.
That is a very good idea. Why don't you do that? And I'll put some oil on to heat in this pan. So this is a really good idea for someone who doesn't eat meat, I suppose, isn't it? It's just the egg and breadcrumbs.
You're aiming for something that looks a bit like that.
Okay, there we go. And that can just fry up like the chicken. When you've cooked your chicken for about 5 to 6 minutes on each side, always check that the chicken is cooked fully through. So slice it open and just make sure there's no pink or raw bits inside. Okay, so that's all nicely cooked. Right, so all cooked. What are we having ours with?
We're having ours with salad, lovely and juicy, and some bread and butter.
Bread and butter. You can have it with baked potatoes or some rice.
Optional.
Optional, yes, and we're going for bread and butter. So dig in, tell me what you think.
That is good.
So for the recipe, check out the GCDA website and just search up recipes. Enjoy!